speech. How do you understand Krishna? So there's a famous verse that Rupa Goswami quotes from the Padma Purana. You may have heard it. It goes like this: Atashi Krishna Namadi Navavet Grayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhihi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuradyada. Very famous verse. It means no one can understand the transcendental nature of name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes revealed to him. So did anyone catch the hint from what I said there? How do we realize Krishna if it's not through our body, mind, and intelligence? How do we understand Krishna? I'll give you a clue from the Sanskrit. Let's see if you can guess. The key words in this Sanskrit sloka is Sevon Mukhihi Jivado.
So serving Krishna, devotional service to him.
Yeah, it's usually the answer. It's a good place to start. Yeah, good guess. That's right. So that is actually the answer. Yes. So how do we do devotional service?
There are 9 kinds of varieties, isn't it, Prabhu? Kirtan, Manana, Kirtana.
Yes.
Yeah,
so there are 9
chanting.
kinds of devotional service.
Yeah.
This one speaks, this particular verse, it refers to one type in particular. And so that Sevan Mukhihi Jivado. So it says devotional service begins from the jiva or tongue. Yeah, so there's a further clue there. So on one hand, we're saying you can't understand Krishna from the body, from the mind, or from the intelligence. But here is saying, and almost this verse reflects what Lord Brahma is saying, that you can't understand Krishna through the body, but then at the same time, you can begin to understand Krishna through the tongue. So how do we serve Krishna with the tongue?
Chanting his holy name.
Yeah, that's right. So by chanting is the way by which we can understand Krishna, because that's someone who has seva mukhi, someone who has who is saturated by service. Yeah. So because Krishna's name is spiritual, sorry, the sound of Krishna's flute. Because Krishna's name is spiritual and we're connecting with his name, then the tongue becomes spiritualized. And what other way can we spiritualize the tongue?
By eating prasadam.
Yes, eating prasadam. Definitely a favorite way of becoming spiritual. Yeah, Prabhupada once said, our process is so wonderful, you can eat your way back to Godhead. And all the devotees said, Haribol! He said on different occasions like that, let them fast, let them do austerities, we will eat our way back to Krishna. So it's wonderful, huh? Is there anything else you would like to share from this paragraph? Or any questions? Feel free.
I don't know if this will make sense, but when Prabhu was reading the part about you are the supreme lord of all creation, although I sometimes falsely think that I am the master of this universe, it kind of makes me think about, sometimes I think the whole world revolves around me, and I put myself in the center. So it's quite a good affirmation to be like, yeah, I'm not, you know, the world doesn't revolve around me. So yeah, it just made me remember that, to realize
Good
that.
nice point. Thank you. Yeah, I was listening to something recently, and this devotee was speaking about the power of prayers. And he was saying, of course, here we're reading the prayers of Lord Brahma. He was saying how when we read the prayers of great saintly or great spiritually potent personalities, because they are so great, they feel very humble. And because of that humility, we can relate to them. Because actually, they're not in this kind of position where they need to say all these things that they say. But they say those things many times for our benefit, to remind us. Because in the very next sentence, Lord Brahma says, I may be the master of this universe. So actually, in one sense, he is the Lord of the universe, right? Of course, he's not the supreme Lord of all universes. But even in our position, we think we're the Lord sometimes. We think the world revolves around us. So these prayers are wonderful. Any prayers of acharyas, of great saintly people, they're wonderful because they help us relate. They help us in learning how to pray to Krishna ourselves. Thank you for adding that. So we can move on unless there's any other comments or questions. Who is the next reader? Shamrani?
Yes, yeah. Shall I read?
Yes, please.
Okay. My dear Lord Krishna, your very name suggests that you are all attractive. The attraction of the sun and the moon are all due to you. By the attraction of the sun, you are beautifying the very existence of the Yadu dynasty. With the attraction of the moon, you are enhancing the potency of the land, the demigods, the Brahmans, the cows, and the oceans. Because of your supreme attraction, demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Therefore, it is my deliberate conclusion that you are the only worshipable deity within the creation. Accept my humble obeisance until the annihilation of this material world. As long as there is sunshine within this material world, kindly accept my humble obeisances. Shall I carry on?
Yeah, you can read the next part.
Okay. In this way, Brahma, the master of this universe, after offering humble and respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and circumambulating him 3 times, was ready to return to his abode, known as Brahmaloka. By his gesture, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gave him permission to return. As soon as Brahma left, Lord Shri Krishna immediately appeared
Just stop there.
as...
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the paragraph, we can just stop there for a moment.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So now Lord Brahma is just finishing his prayers, isn't it? And then we'll go on to read what happens after he leaves. So here, one thing that stood out for me is that Lord Brahma glorifies Krishna as being like the moon. Krishna is actually in the moon dynasty also. That's another aspect of looking at this. Lord Ramachandra, he actually comes in the sun dynasty. He's Raghuvamsa. And Krishna comes in the which dynasty? Does anyone know?
Moon dynasty, Yadu dynasty.
Yes. So here the name of Krishna's dynasty is Yadu dynasty. So he is called Yadunandan. And Lord Ramachandra is called Raghunandan. So the sun and the moon, both, Krishna appears in both dynasties. It's considered to be 2 dynasties for kings. For thousands of years, the great kings would come in these families. And then Krishna, Lord Ram, they are like the crown jewel of those dynasties. And also Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am the light of the sun and the moon. Prabhashmi Sashi Suryayo, Krishna says. And there's a lot of comparisons we can draw. Anyone else would like to share something from these paragraphs?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
It's saying here that that Brahma circumulating him 3 times. Now, I know that sometimes when you go and you is that there's a reason for that, is there?
So yeah, so circumambulation,
Yeah.
like if you see our temples, we do that as well in the morning. We do the circumambulation of the Tulsi Devi in the morning, Tulsi plant. Or in the bigger temples, some places like in Vrindavan, in Mayapur, they've designed them in such a way you can actually walk behind the altar, you know? You can actually walk around the deities. I know in Mayapur, I don't know about Vrindavan so much, but they actually do kirtan during the morning kirtan. They do kirtan and they just go all the way around. It's like going on a harinam, you know, in the temple room, going around behind the altar 3 times, and then coming back round to the front to Prabhupada, and then going all the way to the behind the deities again and come back round again. So they do that. So why is it done? Because we physically experience that Krishna is the center. We're physically putting Krishna in the center. If we start our day like that, by circumambulating the great devotees or the Supreme Lord, then we should do it with this consciousness that I am not the center. You are the center. I want you to be the center. I want you to be at the start of my day, the center of my day, in the middle of my day, and at the end of the day, all day, every day. So we can have this kind of reflection when we're doing that. So yeah. Does that answer the question?
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
See, in the modern world, we're used to the center being shopping center, isn't it? Right? That's kind of what everyone's used to. Shopping center. And you walk around and around that shopping center. Isn't it? So that's what the modern world has created. But if you look in these ancient cities, like Jagannath Puri, has anyone been to Jagannath Puri? Put your hand up if you had that fortune. Wow, you've been. Amazing. So what's in the center of Jagannath Puri? Do you know, Smita Mataji? Can I have a guess?
In the center of the Jagannath Puri. Jagannath.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Lord Jagannath the center. Jagannath Puri is actually, it's in the shape of a shank. It's in the shape of a conch. They've designed the city in the shape of a conch shell. So the conch shell has, you know, the large, the whirl, and then it has the tip, isn't it? It's like almost like a triangle, curved triangle shape. So right in the middle is the Jagannath temple. So this is really how the lives of the residents of Puri, they've centered their lives around the deity. So even if they're going around the town doing their ordinary business, they're circumambulating. That's how things should be. Keep Krishna in the center. Should we go on? Is anyone else who wants to comment or question? Otherwise we can have Linisha Amu reading. Who's reading next?
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah.
As soon as Brahma left, Lord Sri Krishna immediately returned to the bank of the Yamuna and rejoined his calves and cowherd boyfriends who were situated just as they had been on the very day they had vanished. Krishna had left his friends on the bank of the Yamuna while they were engaged in lunch, and although he returned exactly 1 year later, the cowherd boys thought that he had returned within a second. That is the way Krishna's different energies act. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is residing in everyone's heart, and he causes both remembrance and forgetfulness. All living entities are controlled by the supreme energy of the Lord, and sometimes they remember, and sometimes they forget their constitutional position. His friends, being controlled in such a way, could not understand that for 1 whole year they were absent from the Yamuna's bank and were under the spell of Brahma's illusion. When Krishna appeared before the boys, they thought, Krishna has returned within a minute. They began to laugh, thinking that Krishna was not willing to leave their lunchtime company. They were very jubilant and invited him. Dear friend Krishna, you have come back so quickly. All right, we have not as yet begun our lunch, not even taken one morsel of food, so please come and join us and let us eat together. Krishna smiled and accepted their invitation and began to enjoy the lunchtime company of his friends. While eating, Krishna was thinking, these boys believe that I have come back within a second, but they do not know that from the last year I have been involved with the mystic activities of Lord Brahma.
So now, Lord Brahma's finished offering his prayers to Krishna and he's left Vrindavan. And immediately Krishna returns to his friends. So let's take let's think back to what was happening previous to Lord Brahma's prayers. Can anyone remember? Those of you who have been attending for recent weeks. What were Krishna's friends waiting for? Where did Krishna go?
Krishna went to find the calves.
That's right, yeah. And what happened to the calves?
They had disappeared.
Yeah, so the calves had walked off somewhere. And Krishna, being as humble as he is, although he's the Supreme Lord, he volunteered amongst his friends to go and find them. And this is when Lord Brahma intervened. So he took the calves, and then when Krishna came back to the Gopas, they were also gone. So none of this was known to the Gopas, right? Krishna went to get the cows, and Krishna's come back to the Gopas. And for them it felt like, how long? Now that he's back?
A second?
Yeah, just a second. So it's very difficult to understand how Krishna's energies are working. Does anyone else want to bring up any points from here or questions? One thing I found interesting was, it's not really discussed in here, but all this time, it's been 1 year. It's not really been mentioned, how does Krishna feel? You know, Krishna, of course, is the Supreme Lord. So he's completely free to do what he likes. He can create millions of cowherd boys, no problem. He can create thousands and millions of cows, no problem. But in Lord Brahma's prayer, we read about how Krishna, he chooses by his own sweet will to want to associate with these particular special souls who are his friends, his very dear friends. So how would Krishna feel, that he's been away from them for 1 year? They're so dear to him. Krishna's got a very large heart, right? When we think of, like, generally speaking, when we think of the Supreme Lord, we think, oh, he's very grand and majestic. But actually, Krishna, being the Supreme Lord, is extremely loving. And if Krishna is like that, then, you can imagine that, when his friends are taken away from him, how would he feel? For 1 whole year, he didn't say anything to anyone. Even Lord Balaram had to guess what was going on. Krishna was so secretive. But we can see finally, as we come to the end of this pastime, again, like how Krishna is smiling and accepting the invitation of his friends for lunch. So in one level, Krishna book, Krishna's pastimes, they sound very like ordinary, playful, charming. We can use some of these words and many more. On another level, they're really on another level, aren't they? When we go a little bit deeper. So Krishna is very humble in that he went to find his cows. And he's also, like, I guess you can say noble. I don't know if that's the right word. And he didn't say anything to anyone. He just kept it to himself. But for 1 year, his friends are gone. His very dearly beloved friends. And not only that, he expanded himself and used that as an opportunity to be with all of his other beloved devotees in Vrindavan, the mothers and the cows, and all their love increased so much because Krishna was acting as their children. Okay. So if anyone else wants to comment or question, now's your chance. Next reader is Amanda.
Okay. Is it reader number 5 now?
Sorry, I might have lost track.
Sorry, I just double check. I don't want to take anyone's place in case.
Have you read already?
No, I think I'm number 5. Has Aparna read?
Yeah, it's Aparna Mataji.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I don't know.
No.
Okay. So Aparna's reading now. Aparna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Amanda, you can continue. No worries. I can start from you.
Okay, all right, no problem. Okay. After finishing their lunch, Krishna and his friends and calves began to return to their Vrajabhumi homes. While passing, they enjoyed seeing the dead carcass of Aghasur in the shape of a gigantic serpent. When Krishna returned home to Vrajabhumi, he was seen by all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. He was wearing a peacock feather in his helmet, which was also decorated with forest flowers. Krishna was also garlanded with flowers and painted with different coloured minerals collected from the caves of Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill is always famous for supplying natural red oxides, and Krishna and his friends painted their bodies with them. Each of them had a bugle made of buffalo horn, and a stick and a flute, and each called his respective calves by their particular names. The cowherd boys were so proud of Krishna's wonderful activities that, while entering the village, they all sang his glories. All the gopis in Vrindavan saw beautiful Krishna entering the village. The boys composed nice songs describing how they were saved from being swallowed by the great serpent and how the serpent was killed. Some described Krishna as the son of Yashoda and others as the son of Nanda Maharaj. He is so wonderful that he saved us from the clutches of the great serpent and killed him, they said. But little did they know that 1 year had passed since the killing of Aghasur. Would you like me to continue or pause?
We can pause here for a moment.
Okay.
So some really wonderful descriptions in this paragraph, isn't there? Yeah. Really bring Krishna's personality to life and the life of Vrindavan closer to us, isn't it? Does anyone like to share anything from this paragraph which stood out for you? Any comments or questions? You can practically speak about every one of these sentences alone. There's so much in here.
They talk about Aghasura's dead body, which Krishna killed, like previously.
That's right, yeah. So they're just seeing him as they pass by.
Yeah.
and they're remembering what happened that day. Or was it the day before, huh? So for them, that's just happened, isn't it? When they're thinking about it. So, but when did it actually happen?
1 year back.
Yeah, 1 year ago.
Happened a year ago. So we were saying previously about how. So this is what Vrindavan is. Vrindavan is simply where the community love to hear and chant about Krishna. That is Vrindavan. And we can see so many places in this paragraph examples of that, right? Can you pick some of those out?
It is a different color minerals.
The question. Hello.
I'd like to just this paragraph here about when he returned with a peacock feather in his helmet. It made me think, why would he be wearing a helmet, and where did he get it from? And then obviously going on as well to say that he was decorated with forest flowers, garlands, and painted with the minerals collected from Gurdon Hill. So it's like, when did all that happen and why? Because 1 minute they were having a picnic and then they were returning back, and then they're describing all this, how he looks. So kind of
so as part of their play, the boys would they would collect all these different items and decorate themselves as part of their play. So remember, these children, Krishna's only like 5 or 6 years old at this time. So as children, this would be their play. They would, in fact, although they were very ornamented already, I think Jay Prakash Prabhu mentioned in a previous week, even though they were so opulent already by nature, their play it was more bringing sweetness to their activity. So then they would decorate themselves with natural ornaments, leaves and flowers, and they would decorate themselves with, like, as it says, minerals and things, so colors of minerals and so on. So that would be part of their play through the day. They would look after the calves, but then they would also play a lot too.
Okay.
Play.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
Yeah. So just coming back to this point about, so Vrindavan means to hear and chant about Krishna. Any community which is hearing and chanting about Krishna is non-different from Vrindavan. So even this virtual community we've created online every Tuesday is also Vrindavan. So that's why I want to encourage everyone to say something, to share something, to read something, ask question, because that's all part of being in Vrindavan. So a lot of examples here, isn't it? Can anyone pick out a few? Or one even?
They made their own songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, they composed their own songs about Krishna's pastimes.
Killing the serpent.
Yeah, killing the serpent.
Yeah, that's a really good example. It's amazing they actually compose their own songs.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
I got a 3-year-old, and I got a nephew who's 5. And when they get together and make songs, they're usually about very, very silly things, which I won't discuss. But you get the idea, right? With children, generally they hear some, I don't know, silly sounds, and then they laugh about it and joke about it and make songs about it and keep talking about it for days and weeks. any silly little thing. But here the boys, they're composing songs about Krishna and his wonderful activities. Anything else? So hearing and chanting about Krishna. So who was hearing the songs?
The gopis?
That's right. Yeah, so the gopis. Where does it say that? Can you pick that up?
So all the gopis in Vrindavan saw beautiful Krishna entering the village.
Yeah, that's right. So you can almost picture it. It doesn't say it exactly, but you can almost picture it. And in fact, I think there is a painting of this particular paragraph of the boys and the cows. They're all coming down into Vrindavan, into the village from the forest, and all the gopis are standing by their doors and windows, and some of them are coming out of the house, you know, and they're hearing all these songs that the boys are making up about Krishna's day and his play, right? And so they're running out of their houses when the boys come home to hear this, and they're just like looking at Krishna, thinking how beautiful, and they're hearing his songs. So we do that as well in our temples too, or even at home, right? So many beautiful bhajans. You know, Yashomati Nandana, there's Vibhavari Sesha, all these wonderful bhajans we sing in the mornings. So many more. So they're just like that, actually. They describe Krishna's name and fame. So we shouldn't think these things to be very ordinary. This is like the activities of the spiritual world, isn't it? Does anyone else want to share from this paragraph before we move on? More
Hare
questions?
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I also heard in one lecture that whenever Krishna is returning back home in the evening, the gopis are all excited to hear about the Krishna's glorious activities, what happened in the forest and killing the demon. But Yashoda would be so anxious to know about what happened to my dear little Krishna. So that's a different mood of Yashoda Maya.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, and actually there's a lot of things that go on in one scene. I think this is one of the most wonderful things about the Krishna pastimes, is that they're very, very deep, you know? Actually, it's not everyone is feeling the same way. On one level, everyone's there to see Krishna. Krishna is always the center of the attention, always. But the mood, the devotion that they have towards Krishna, the rasa that they experience, it all varies, you know? Even amongst all the gopis, Radharani and her Sakhis, they all have different experience with Krishna. What to speak of all the others, Krishna's friends, his mother, father, the animals, and other residents. It's a very nice point, yeah. Reminds me of when Krishna picks up the Govardhan hill. Govardhan Puja is coming up in just a couple of weeks, is it? A few weeks even? So I was just thinking how you just reminded me. In that pastime, when Krishna is picking up the hill and all the residents are there all with him, all 7 days, 7 nights, non-stop festival with Krishna. 7 days, 7 nights festival. No one's tired, no one sleeps. But the mood of all the residents is very different. So the boys, they're again, you know, in this mood of like, Krishna, you're the best. They're really proud, you know, that their friend Krishna, he's the savior of everyone in Vrindavan. And Krishna, each one thinks Krishna is like their best friend. So like, my best friend did it, you know. how we feel when our friends are like do well. Like they're thinking Krishna, he defeated Indra even, how great their friend is. For the elder Gopas, their mood is very different. So Nandaraj, he gets his, what do you call that, the stick. And he's seeing Krishna picking up the hill with his finger. And he's saying, my God, this boy, what is he doing now? And he's like telling all the Gopas, put your sticks up, help him. Help him, poor little child. So his mood is very different. And then you have the mothers, the elder gopis. Krishna, have you eaten? How will you be able to hold this hill? There's mother's anxiety. Krishna, it's too much, put it down, have a rest. It's getting late. How many days can you do this? But then when Srimati Radharani looks at Krishna, because she is most dear to Krishna. And Krishna, when he sees Srimati Radharani, his hand begins to tremble and the hill begins to wobble and all these feelings of love are coming up. So everyone has a different rasa with Krishna, even in one setting. So also here. So yeah, thank you for reminding us, Mataji. Okay, so who is the next reader now? I'll let you guys decide.
I think it's Arpana because I stole her place.
Well, yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah. In this regard, Maharaj Parikshit asks Sukadeva Goswami how the inhabitants of Vrindavana suddenly developed so much love for the Krishna, although he was not a member of any of their families. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, during the absence of the original cowherd boys, when Krishna expanded himself, why is it that the boys' parents become more loving towards him than towards their own sons? Also, why did the cows become so loving towards the cows more than toward their own calves? Can I continue, Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Okay. Sukadeva Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit that every living entity is actually most attached to his own self. Outward paraphernalia such as a home, family, friends, country, society, wealth, opulence, and reputation are all only secondary in a pleasing the living entity. They please only because they bring pleasure to the self. For this reason, one is self-centered and is attached to the body and self more than he is so relatives like a wife, children, and friends. If there is some immediate danger to one's own person, he first of all take care of himself, then others. That is natural. That means he loves himself, his own self more than anything else. The next important object of affection after his own self in his material body. A person who has no information of spirit soul is very much attached to his material body so much so that even in old age he wants to preserve the body in so many artificial ways, thinking that his old and broken body can be saved. Everyone is working hard day and night just to give pleasure to his own self under either the bodily or spiritual concept of life. We are attached to the material possessions because to the sense or to the body. The attachment to the body is there only because the I, the spirit soul, is within the body. Similarly, when one is further advanced, he knows that the spirit soul is a pleasing because it is a part and parcel of the Krishna. Ultimately, it is a Krishna who is a pleasing and all attractive. He is the super soul of everything. And in order to give us this information, Krishna descended and tell us that the all attractive center is he himself. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive.
Mm. Okay, so these two paragraphs, thank you, Mataji, for reading. So this whole pastime, how did it come about in the Srimad Bhagavatam is discussed in the first paragraph. Can anyone pick up that essential point? Why did this pastime even the discussion of Lord Brahma stealing the calves and the boys. How did that come about even?
Was it something to do with the elder gopis? They wanted to have a son like Krishna, something like that.
So this is actually so this is a discussion between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess just to fine-tune my question, so how did they go on to discuss this pastime would be my question.
Yeah, actually, Brahma kidnapped the all gopas and calves and cowherd boys, but they don't. They Mother's Day, they don't know what has happened. So Krishna expanded himself as a cowherd boys and calves, and they back to the Vrindavan. But because the mothers, they don't know what had happened. So, but Krishna is there. That's why they got so much like affection more than this their own sons and calves also.
Okay, so that's what happens in the pastime, right?
Yeah.
My question is slightly different in that I'm asking how did this, for those who were with us a few weeks ago, they might remember the killing of the Agasura pastime, yeah? And at the end of that pastime, then because this pastime was told by Sukadeva Goswami, I'm trying to say it in a way I don't give away the answer. Sukadeva Goswami was discussing this with Maharaj Parikshit, and then the chapter came about of Lord Brahma's bewilderment and then of the prayers from Brahma. So how did these two chapters come about? Does anyone remember?
Actually, Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukadeva Goswami, why did the boys did not say about the demon killing for 1 year? What happened to that 1 year? So Shukadeva Goswami explained how Krishna expanded himself for 1 year, and this activities was keep on going. And later, the cowherd boys came back after a year. And then they told the stories about the serpent to the gopis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well remembered. So for those who missed it, does that make sense? Just looking at everyone's faces here. Yeah? So what happened was, it was only because Maharaj Parikshit asked about why they didn't sing about Krishna killing that serpent, Agasura. Why they didn't sing about it until 1 year after. That's how this whole 2 chapters came about. So I thought that's quite important to highlight. Just like you guys are making such nice comments and questions, it really gets us a chance to discuss more into the pastimes of Krishna. Like we went into the pastime of the Govardhan hill briefly, because of comments and questions. So this is really how to increase the taste in Krishna Katha, the questions and answers. So that's what we're trying to do here as well. So anyone else would like to share something from this paragraph, these 2 paragraphs? The Sukadeva Goswami, he's giving a bit more philosophy now in the next paragraph, because Maharaj Parikshit's asking, how is it that the residents of Vrindavan were more affectionate to Krishna than their own children, even their own children, when everybody knows that the most dear one in life is one's own child. Sukadeva Goswami, he doesn't say, well, he's just, he's Krishna, isn't it? Obviously, he's God, right? Why not? But he gives a very nice explanation. Why? Why then? Okay, so what? But why? He gives a nice explanation on that. So, could anyone unpack that explanation in a kind of summarized way? What does Prabhupada talk about first in explaining this to us? What is very natural for us?
Attachment to yourself.
Attachment to oneself. What does it mean by oneself? Next question. What does it mean by oneself? Yes, that's right. So we're attached, we're concerned about ourselves. So next question is, what does it mean by ourself? What does it mean by oneself? Like generally, in the general sense.
That means we always think about, like, there's, my children or my family, and kind of it's all just my,
Yeah.
my
And
and I.
Yeah. So we generally think about everything connected with us, right?
Yeah.
If our child is suffering, then we want to do something for the child. But when we're in the supermarket and there's some kid running around screaming and shouting and knocking over the cereal packets, nothing to do with me, right? Isn't it? Not my child, not my problem. Okay? So we generally see the world like that, isn't it? Natural, it's natural. Prabhupada says it's natural. So that's one level that was connected to our body. When we think of our body as ourself, then what's dear to us is what's connected to our body. Because we think the body is the self, everything connected to the body is important. But there's another level. That is, if we realize that we're the soul, if we actually understand, I'm not a body, the body will finish. The body, it changes every day anyway. It's different. The body I had last year, 5 years, 10, 15 years ago is not the same body. So I'm not the body, I'm the soul. Even if we think in that way, that's also natural. In fact, that's more natural, supernatural, as we say. Then what's the consideration? If we were to think I am the soul, and we take this same principle that what's attached, what we're very attached to, how's it said? We're most attached to our own self. Then what is the connections of the soul? Then who would be attached to? And that's it. If we have that consciousness. I don't know if I'm asking in a way that makes sense.
I don't know, but I'm just guessing. Is that then if you realize that if you are on that kind of a level to understand that you're not the body, you're the soul, so then you attach to the Paramatma and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is that what?
Yeah, that's right. So this is what Sukadev Goswami is explaining. How is it that they could be more attached to Krishna than their own children? Because actually they are self-realized. That's why. They're not thinking that these children, I'm this body and these are my children. And yeah, Krishna's God. They're thinking, I'm Krishna's devotee and I'm attracted to Krishna and these children are Krishna's friends. Therefore, I'm attracted to these children because they're connected to Krishna too. So they see everything Krishna-centric, the parents of the children who have disappeared for 1 year. Does that make sense? Yeah. If that made sense to you, then can you explain that back in your own words? Because the way I explain it doesn't always make sense to me. Someone want to have a go? It's a very fine point, so it's nice to chew on it. If you were to explain that to someone, how would you say it?
Well, Hare Krishna. Well, I don't know how I would say it, but I think the only thing is if Krishna is in the middle, then whoever is around Krishna, that is who I would want to know. Like, I want to know you because you're a devotee, because you are you are serving Krishna in a way. So, because it's like that, isn't it? You want to know the devotees because they are the ones who are actually putting Krishna in the center. They're trying to and serving them. And I don't know, am I making sense now?
Yeah, that's a really, really nice point. That makes it so much more practical what you said, Mataji, than what I said, which is why I like to hear from all of you.
Oh.
Yeah, I tend to speak very abstract way.
Oh, but I enjoy listening.
Yeah, so we want to be attached to what's really dear to the self, isn't it? Not the physical self, the body itself, but we want to be connected with what's really dear to the soul. And Krishna is dear to the soul, and Krishna's devotees are dear to the soul. So we want to be connected with those people and him. Krishna is very attached to his devotees. So, of course, why not us? Yeah, very nice point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to add anything from what we've discussed here or from this paragraph? So when we take this point further, where they're just taking from where Prabhupada gives the last sentence in this paragraph, last couple of sentences. Krishna descends and tells us that that the all attractive center is he himself. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. So really, for someone who's deeply Krishna conscious, they see everything connected to Krishna. Everything, you know? So that's really, really someone who's Krishna conscious. They just see Krishna everywhere. So that's going to be discussed now. So who's our next reader? Are we through? Have we been through all the readers now? Does anyone else like to volunteer who hasn't read yet? So we've got, like, this is the last paragraph now. Who hasn't read yet? Anyone like to read?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'll give it a go today.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Maha Bhagavat or highly advanced devotee sees Krishna as the active principle in all movable and immovable living entities. Therefore, he sees everything within this cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. For the fortunate person who has taken shelter of Krishna, as everything, liberation is already there. I've lost.
Yeah.
It's already there. He is no longer in the material world. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna is already in the Brahma Buddha or spiritual platform. The very name Krishna suggests piety and liberation. Anyone who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna enters the boat for crossing over the ocean of nescience. For him, this vast expansion of the material manifestation becomes as insignificant as the water in a calf's hoofprint. Krishna is the shelter of all great souls, and he is also the shelter of material worlds. For one who is on the platform of Krishna consciousness, Vaikuntha, or the spiritual world, is not far away. He does not live within the material world where there is danger at every step.
Okay. Okay, so the paragraph ends here, isn't it?
Shall I do the?
No, okay, let's just stop and go through this, because this one has lots of points in it also. I just thought it was one continuous paragraph. I didn't see the split. Okay, so so the paragraph begins by discussing how everything is connected to Krishna, and therefore pure devotee sees Krishna in everything. Yeah. So we may not be able to experience that ourselves, right? At least I don't know about you guys. I definitely don't experience that myself. But we can still have an appreciation or an understanding of how is it possible, as explained in here. So would you like to discuss that a little bit? Would you like to know how do pure devotees see that Krishna is in everything? Yeah? Would you like to see how Krishna is in everything? Would you like to just like turn the corner and Krishna jump out at you? Maybe not. Never know what it's going to be like. Huh? So how do they see that Krishna is in everything? So that the secret is in the second sentence. The active principle of everything is Krishna. Yeah, the active principle of everything is Krishna. What does that mean? Active principle of everything is Krishna. So this is how pure devotees, they see the world. They see wherever there is some quality in something, that is its active principle. Whatever Shakti is there within that thing, that's Krishna's manifestation there. Krishna is giving that potency, that ability, or that quality. So anything which has some little bit of potency, that's Krishna. So when you see a pearl necklace or diamond necklace, right? Doesn't it just make you say, wow? I can see there's mostly ladies in this group, so using maybe a more appropriate example. So they make you think, wow, sparkling. I'm just taking from the phrase, diamonds are a girl's best friend. So we want to see Krishna as our best friend. How to make Krishna our best friend. Right? Not diamonds, but we can see Krishna in diamonds if we want to. And then there's no problem having diamonds, because those diamonds will remind us of Krishna. Hopefully. Don't go chasing diamonds and then forget Krishna. Because that sparkle, that splendor, that brilliance of the diamond, where does that come from anyway? Where does it come from?
Krishna?
Krishna. I was hoping everybody would just be off mute and shout Krishna at the same time, like on Kirtan, Don't be shy. Yeah, so that comes from Krishna. You can take anything, like I love cars. I like fast cars. I don't know about you, Jay Prakash Prabhu, or even any of the ladies for that matter. I like cars. Fast cars, my wife will tell you. But Krishna is also, the Gopas, they love Krishna because he runs around so fast. Has anyone seen that picture of Krishna and Balaram and the cows and the boys? They're all running down Govardhan Hill chasing Krishna. Huh? And they're all running to try and catch him. And Krishna's fast, really, really fast. He's really fast. So when they catch him, they become really pleased. Actually, I was fast enough to catch Krishna. Because Krishna is that speed. He represents that speed. He has that speed. Lord Brahma, he prays that I cannot even reach Krishna with the speed of the mind. If I try and catch him with the speed of the mind, how fast is the mind? Think of a pig. There, you got a pig in your head now. How fast was that? right? Think of Krishna. So the speed of the mind. Brahma is saying, I cannot even reach Krishna with the speed of the mind. Krishna is so fast, he can escape me if he wants to. As it said here, what we read in the... actually, it's in this paragraph, isn't it? Or maybe it was the one before. But it's mentioned that Krishna is the cause of remembrance and forgetfulness. If he wants us to remember him, he'll help us. If we want to forget him, he'll allow us. So Krishna is fast. He's faster than the speed of the mind. So whatever we see in this world, whether it's diamonds or fast cars, or I'm just using some really, what's the word? Stereotypical examples. Whatever we see, we can remember Krishna from it. Even if you see a Tesco's carrier bag, you can think, that carrier bag can carry the weight, it can carry some weight. They're pretty strong, right, Tesco carrier bags? They're very thin, but very strong. I don't know if everyone will agree, if you've had some broken carrier bags in your life. So, Krishna holds up all the universes. So that strength of the carrier bag is even given from Krishna. Anything you see in this world, even something so mundane as a Tesco carrier bag. Just thinking of some random examples off the top of my head. So what is it that separates us and the pure devotees? Because this is how the pure devotees, they see Krishna everywhere. It's only having that consciousness that what is the attractive principle of everything. Try it for this week. Try it, like just everywhere you go, everything you do. What is the attractive principle in this thing? That's Krishna. And the more you do it, the more Krishna will reveal himself to you. Guaranteed. Not I guarantee. Prabhupada guarantees. Right?
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. It's like a way of dovetailing everything that we see, and anything material, and then just making it spiritual. And it's also, it kind of reminded me of being grateful, like having some sort of gratitude towards everything as well. So yeah, that's really nice. Not to just see things on the surface, but to go a bit deeper. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for adding that. That's a really nice point. Yeah. So so it should invoke a certain emotion. It should invoke a certain feeling. It shouldn't just be like, yeah, carry a bag, yeah, Krishna, yeah, fast car, Krishna, yeah. But there should be some connection, some feeling that comes with it, right? Especially if things are not going well, right? If things are not going well, we should also see that as Krishna's mercy. Yeah. It's easy to remember Krishna when you're not having an easy time. Krishna, please help. But we don't see how Krishna is personally present there, isn't it? We see, because we identify, just going back to the previous paragraph about how we see Krishna, we see everything which is connected with ourself. That's natural, we said. So because we see the body as ourself, then when something goes wrong on that level of the self, the body level of the self, then Krishna's like out of the picture. We don't see how Krishna is connected from that level. But if we see ourselves as a soul in a difficult situation, we can start to see with gratitude how Krishna is giving me a test, a challenge, so that I can try and take shelter of him in this situation. So Queen Kunti had that kind of gratitude, right? Prabhupada has written a whole book about the prayers of Queen Kunti. Here we're reading the prayers of Brahma, right? I think some of you might be thinking, when is this chapter going to end? Week after week, prayers of Lord Brahma. Huh? So rest assured, we're nearly there. I see a lot of smiles and laughter. But Prabhupada's written a whole book about the prayers of Queen Kunti, the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, the prayers of King Kulashekar, and so many others. So Queen Kunti, she has that mood of gratitude. In fact, she's so grateful for the problems in her life. She's so grateful that she has problems in her life. She said, Krishna, please give me problems only. Give me more problems. This is not like problems like I lost my credit card, right? I lost my car keys, right? This is like her house is on fire. This is like her children are being poisoned. These are serious problems. Everything's taken away from her. Her husband passes away, you know? And she's praying, Krishna, give me more problems, because this is how I can remember you. All these things which are not connected to me, not connected to my body. These are all things which is making my soul, which is making me more connected to you. So much gratitude, right? Thank you, Amanda, for bringing it up. Nice point about gratitude. So now we're on the final paragraph, unless anyone wants to add or ask questions. I wasn't going to go into it, but just very quickly, in this last few sentences of this paragraph, it goes into speaking about how anyone who takes the shelter of Lord Krishna enters the boat for crossing over the ocean of nescience. So I won't go into it too much, but we actually discussed this also in a lot of detail in one of the earlier weeks. So some of you may remember that. So Krishna is famous as Murari, and he, by meditating on his lotus feet, one can cross the ocean of this material world. The ocean of this material world, it appears like the water. We know the water in the ocean is massive, but for someone who takes shelter of Krishna, the water appears how? Like the water? I think.
A calf's hoof print.
Oh, you got that, yeah. Like the calf's hoof print, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, like, if you think of this world as a world of struggle and difficulty, all of those difficulties will be, the ocean of difficulties will be reduced to just how much water you can fit in the drops of a calf's hoof print. So from an ocean of difficulty to a mere puddle by thinking of Krishna's lotus feet. So it's nice actually when we chant, we can have a picture of the deities or have the deities in front of us and chant, meditating on the form, the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna stands very beautifully to attract us. Yeah, he stands with his feet crossing over in this beautiful form, isn't it? So Krishna is doing this for our benefit, to attract us, actually, to benefit us, to attract us back to him. So we can take those opportunities to meditate on Krishna's form when we chant by seeing him. And this is actually, it really enlivens the chanting as well. Okay, I've spoken lots and lots.
Sorry, Prabhu. I'm just going to go back into, you were saying about the comparing the sea and we're talking about the sea and the hoof print. So can we say that, like in our life, like what the calamities or difficulties we have? So I mean, we can say that kind of that it could have been worse, but Krishna is so merciful that he's just given us the little that is as much like he thinks that we can manage or we can cope. Is that the way to put it? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's a nice way of looking at things. Srila Prabhupada, he once, reminds me, I wrote a letter to my Guru Maharaj, Jai Pataka Swami. He wrote, because he had injured himself while he was repairing something in the temple, he had I think he got cut by a nail, or like a nail went into him. It's like obviously very, very painful, right? You see some of your expressions. Ooh, wouldn't want that to happen. And Prabhupada wrote to Prabhupada and said, I was doing, whatever, and I got injured from this nail, and it's really painful, and now I'm having to, be more careful and reduce my service and so on. And Prabhupada writes back an interesting letter to him. And he writes that, actually, had you not been a devotee, your whole leg would have been chopped off. But Krishna has given just a token reaction for removing your lifetimes of karma. So very, very instructive. Could have been worse. Yeah. Just think, like, where we are, like, in relation with Krishna now, when we go through these situations. We're in Kali Yuga, like the worst of all ages. Kale doshe nidhi rajan said that this age of Kali is a nidhi, dosha nidhi. It's an ocean of faults. So we're living in this ocean of faults. Actually, we are, And the happiness we get is just when for a moment there's no problems going on. Relief. Like when someone's drowning in the water and they come up and like gasp of fresh air. And then again, that's actually our situation. Really. We don't have any idea how amazing it is to be with Krishna compared to our day-to-day struggle and relief. So yeah, if this, any bad thing that really happens to us is removing millions of lifetimes of karma, billions. Because this life we want to dedicate to Krishna. So within this life, Krishna will do everything he can to bring us back very, very quickly. So when we take one step towards Krishna, Krishna is taking 10 steps towards us in every way. We should see everything that happens as Krishna steps towards us, be it good or bad. So yeah, is that okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
So Prabhupada says here then, so one who's engaged in devotional service is already on the Brahma Bhuta, or spiritual platform. So in connection with what you said, Shamrani Mataji. So this is quoted from Bhagavad Gita, as Prabhupada says here. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Na Kangshati Na Sochati. Krishna says that someone who's in Krishna consciousness, they don't have any sochati, they don't have any miseries, they don't have any kangshati, they don't see things as good and bad, good and bad. They don't have this duality of the mind, flickering. I want this is good, I want this is good. I don't want that, it's bad. Stay away, bad. They don't have that. Everything is just Krishna's mercy. They're seeing the the active principle in everything. Whether it's good or bad, it's all Krishna.
Okay.
Shall we move on? I have a tendency to get a bit carried away. So a final paragraph is, it's 9 o'clock already. Are we okay to just read the final paragraph? Then we went to the next chapter in the fresh week. Okay, let's do that then. Maybe I could read them out of readers, unless anyone would like to volunteer, anyone who hasn't read. Or if anyone wants to go again. Okay. Shall I read then? In this way, Krishna consciousness was fully explained to Maharaj Parikshit by Sukadeva Goswami, as he recited to the king the statements and prayers of Lord Brahma. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of the Yamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayers unto him, are all transcendental subject matters Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. Thus Krishna's childhood pastimes, his sporting with Balaram, and the cowherd boys in Vrindavan were described. So anything that stood out for you there? There's a benediction given here at the end of this chapter, you know? Did you catch that?
Yes, that's what I noticed as well. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled.
Surely.
Surely.
Like, why not, right? Why not? Just read Krishna book and everything you want to happen will happen. What a blessing, huh? So for the devotees, they don't have to make any extra endeavor for anything. Huh? Providing we hear and chant about Krishna, remember him, and center our lives around him, everything will be just fine. So any karma which is supposed to come to us will come, be it minimized, as we said. But that if we read Krishna's pastimes, we'll understand this is Krishna's mercy. And ultimately all our desires will be fulfilled. So these books, they're not ordinary stories, huh? We're getting blessings we can't even count just from reading them page by page. Huh? So one can say, this Krishna book, it's like, 1,000 something pages. Yeah, about 6 months, 8 months, we'll finish this. you know? But there's blessing after blessing which we can't count in this book. And sometimes they're brought out to remind us. Okay, so anyone else like to share any last thoughts over the course of the reading? Okay.
So,
yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So actually, Kartik starts this Saturday, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that actually. So I made a mistake last week by saying it was Friday. It's actually Sunday. Kartik is starting on Sunday, but we start offering the candles on Saturday evening, which is the eve of Kartik. It's called the Purnima. It's the full moon night. So we actually start on Saturday offering candles. The Vrata starts on Sunday. So if you're making any vows, if you want to do anything extra, like extra chanting or whatever it may be, Sunday is the first day of Kartik. Okay? Yeah, so I made a mistake last week by saying it was Friday. So if you've already started on Friday, then all glories to you. Sorry. Okay.
Well, whoever has, they got more mercy than I certainly have, because they've started 1 week ahead.
Yeah. All glory to them.
Yeah, Jay.
Already into getting the practice in and into the routine, right?
Yeah.
I find sorry, go on.
You go into the Bhaktivedanta Mana website, and they talk about the Kartik, and then Bhakti, I can't remember her name, but she sings very beautifully. You can just listen to her singing the Damodara Stuck, and she's beautifully singing it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So everyone can check that out.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. That's exciting. I can share.
She's very beautiful voice and really lovely connection. You can get that connection.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The website, and then there's quite a few you can listen to, but she's the first one.
Okay. Cool.
Thanks for sharing that. So everyone can go and have a look. So I was wondering, maybe we can introduce something a little extra for the month of Kartik within the scope of this meeting. Like maybe we could chant one round together, or maybe we could sing the Dhammadastakam together, or both. Let's see. So I'll open it up on the WhatsApp group, or you can send me your suggestion directly. Can't promise to fulfill everyone's desire. I'm not Krishna. But we can certainly try and do something extra if it pleases you all.
Well, on the same Tuesday, that's the same day,
So for this meeting, yeah, for the next, say, I guess 4 or 5 weeks, for the month
Tuesday.
of November. So
Okay.
Kartik it starts on the 1st of November and finishes on the 30th of November, I think. So we'll say the last day of November is actually the full exact month of November this year.
Yeah.
Easy way to remember it. So yeah, we can do something a little bit extra for the meeting.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah. Any quick thoughts? Would you like to do? Who would like to do one japa around together? Who would like to do that?
I don't mind.
I don't mind doing
Yeah,
both.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind doing both either. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. So if you want to, then if you could raise your hand. If you don't want to, that's also okay. If you're obliged, it's good to know who wants to do what. If you want to do one extra japa round,
okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, everyone wants to do one japa round. And what about the Dhammadastakam? Okay, so most want to do Dhammadastakam as well. Okay, so we'll see what we can do. Yeah, and we can probably try and do both. We anyways not need, but anyways we sing every day, isn't it? We want to sing every day Dhammadastakam. So why not as a group?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then let's see what we can do. Part of it depends on my daughter and if she's sleeping or not sleeping as well. So I'll bring my harmonium along next week. All right, thanks everyone for sticking out. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Krishna, everyone.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna, thank
Thank
you.
you, Prabhu.
Happy Kartik.
Thank you.
Thank you.